President Park Geun-hye replaced her finance minister with a three-term member of parliament and close policy confidant in a cabinet reshuffle on Friday in the aftermath of a ferry disaster that, of course, killed more than 300 people.
So what does the president have in mind regarding the nation's economic direction for the remainder of her term, and what can we expect from the new economic team? Let's try getting some experts' view. For that, we have Dr. Won-geun joining us live via Skype. Dr. Song is a senior researcher at the Federation of Korean Industries.
And of course, Deputy Secretary General. Dr. Song, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Now let's try reading into the president's pick to head her economic team. We know that President Park has been placing extra emphasis on reviving the economy, not only as she took office last year, but especially following the ferry disaster in April. Now her pick as a new finance minister and deputy prime minister for economy, Choi Kyung-hwan, he's served as industry and energy minister and the ruling party parliamentary floor leader before. In your view, what does the president have in mind in bringing him to this post?
At first, I think this new economy team, including Mr. Choi Kyung-hwan, can be evaluated as a good selection because first, these people, including Mr. Choi Kyung-hwan and Chief Economic Advisor, used to be very close to the president and used to advise the president about economic policies. So we could expect that there are a few difficulties in the communication within the administration, and an efficient decision-making process for economic policies will be expected. Deputy Prime Minister nominee Choi Kyung-hwan is appropriate for leading this new economic team. He is not only an experienced official and economist, but also an experienced politician. So he knows the market and he knows the politics. So far, the main problem of the economic team is the lack of leadership and slow decision-making. I think that the president might think that Mr. Choi is capable of solving these problems easily. That is the reason why the president chose him as the deputy prime minister.
Well, easily? I'm not so sure. Mr. Choi definitely has some challenges ahead of him, stimulating domestic demand and creating jobs. The finance minister nominee is known to be a pro-growth economist, and there are already speculations that he may try to lower the central bank's interest rate. It's been on hold at 2.5% for 13 straight months. Of course, then, he may come in conflict with Bank of Korea Governor Lee Ju-yeol.
He already emphasized the need of stimulating the economy, but there are several measures for stimulating the economy, and monetary policy is one of these measures. The monetary policy should be established and implemented by the central bank, Bank of Korea. That is the Bank of Korea's sole right. Even the deputy prime minister cannot intervene in the decision-making and implementing of monetary policy. So officially, there is no chance of his coming in conflict with the Bank of Korea's governor. But they could cooperate with each other to boost the economy. If the current state of the domestic economy continues to stagnate, it is possible that the Bank of Korea will consider to lower the interest rate. So it depends on the prospects for the economy, and it is very unlikely that we will see the conflict between the Deputy Prime Minister and the Bank of Korea's governor.
Well, Dr. Song, the new Deputy Prime Minister nominee told reporters over the weekend that he thinks some borrowing regulations relating to LTV and DTI, of course, loan-to-value ratio and debt-to-income ratio, respectively, should be eased to some extent to boost the sluggish real estate market. Your thoughts on that? I mean, would that not ease the easing of these regulations? Would that not only worsen the already huge household debt in this country?
The purpose of introducing the regulations on LTV and DTI was to limit the demand for borrowing in the time of housing market boom. But since global financial crisis broke out in 2008, the housing market has been going through the deep recession. So the measures we need right now are not to limit housing demand, but to boost the housing market. The regulations on LTV and DTI are not the appropriate and timely measures anymore, so the easing of these regulations is the right direction. But household debt problem can be worsened not by the easing of these regulations, but by the continuation of housing market recession. If the housing price continues to fall, the possibility of household debt default will go up. In this case, the increase in household debt default will make financial institutions, including banks, weaker, and then we might face another financial and economic crisis. So right now, we need measures for reviving housing market instead of having the measures for limiting housing demand.
Well, Dr. Won-geun, Deputy Secretary General of the Federation of Korean Industries, thank you so much for speaking with us today.
Thank you very much.